I get this overwhelming feeling in the pit of my stomach. I don't know if it's just an instinct right now or if I saw something and my brain just clicked. And I see something to my left, and I'm like, okay, hold on. It might just be an elk. I might just have to slowly back away. And I stand up, and I went to turn, and I stop. I see these big green eyes.
This is the Cryptid Creatures Podcast. I am Brian, and right over there is my co-host Todd. Man, what's going on?
Hey, man. So we got a little test tonight. Our guest has seen something. We don't know what it is, and I don't think she knows what it is. So she's going to talk to us and tell us about what she saw, and we're going to try to determine what we think it was.
Right.
So
and
we don't have
hopefully, if
clarity.
anybody out there listening has had the same encounter, they'll let us know too, and maybe we can compare notes.
Correct. And this happened in Montana, I believe, is where this happened.
It's like right on the border.
Yeah, somewhere around there. We'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
So let's bring her on, see what she's got to say, and let's try to determine what the hell it was she saw.
Yeah.
Cyan, welcome to the show. Thanks for talking to us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm happy you took the time.
You had told us your story, what had happened, and it sounded pretty interesting, and we were kind of trying to figure out what the heck it was that you experienced and encountered. So, yeah, we're happy to have you on and to talk to us about it tonight.
Yep.
Well, I had been listening to you guys for a while because every now and then I'm just like, I want to listen to podcasts at work, and I saw you guys' show, and I was like, I'll listen to them. And then listening, I was like, man, that makes me curious about what I saw. Like, what did I see?
Well, we're glad you got in touch with us.
Yeah, no kidding.
So when and where did this encounter that you had happen?
So back in the summer of 2019, like around August, and it was at a place called, technically it's called Michael's Draw.
And that's in Montana?
Yep, it's in a little town called Libby. And it's basically up in the middle of nowhere, basically.
Right.
Like right on the border of Canada.
Wow.
Yep.
It looks like it, yeah.
I've seen bears, I've seen moose, I've seen elk, I've seen cougars, I've hunted mountain goats, and I'm like, I can't explain what I saw.
Why don't you tell us what happened?
So, okay. Me and my friends doing our teenage dumb stuff. We're having a bonfire out in Michael's Draw, and it's a popular spot for everyone. And we're a tiny town of like maybe 1,200, and we're up there partying. It's mid-August, I want to say, beginning mid-August, and it's hot, so fires aren't really allowed. So we try to keep an eye out for anything. And my friend said, hey, we're running low on firewood. Anyone want to go grab some scraps? I'm like, okay, I'll go. Sure, why not? And that was a dumb move. That's like a white girl dumb horror movie move right there.
Yeah.
And I go out, I'm looking around, I'm picking up branches. And, around that time, you get a lot of animals that are, just hungry, and they don't care what you are, they're going to eat you. Kind of thing. So you kind of try to be on the lookout for that. And there was this big stump, and I see a bunch of branches by it, and I go and I start picking it up. I'm more worried about snakes trying to bite me or something. But there's not really anything snake-wise up here. It's garter snakes. And I get this overwhelming feeling in the pit of my stomach. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if it's just an instinct right now or if I saw something and my brain just clicked, but I feel like I'm going to get eaten in any second. And I'm just looking around, trying not to like move my body, mostly just trying to look around with my peripheral vision. And I see something to my left, and it kind of looks like a kind of reminding me mostly of like if you see an elk's behind from the back. And I'm like, okay, hold on. It might just be an elk. I might just have to slowly back away. And I stand up and I went to turn and I stop. And in the corner of my eye, I see these big green eyes, like startling green. And I'm like, if I move now or if I look at this thing, I'm going to puke. Because my first instinct when I'm scared is to throw up. And I'm like, okay, either this is a big ass mountain cat or first thing that actually should have popped in my head is maybe a little Sasquatch. But either way, I'm something's lunch. And my instinct immediately was to slowly back away, but then my brain kind of told me, no, run, just run. Don't look, run, just run. So I drop everything. I'm trying not to trip over my sandals, and I run down and I just yell, "Mountain lion!" And my friends, we all hop in our buggy, and our friend hop in his little duked up Ford Ranger, and we take off. And we get home. My immediate reaction is throw up in the toilet. My friends are interrogating me, like, what was that? Like, did you actually see one? Like, what's going on? Like, why'd we leave? You know, our beer's there and stuff, our speaker's there. I'm like, well, you guys can go get it. I'll see your funerals later, but I'm not going anywhere near that spot. And I didn't tell anyone what happened until one of the guys who was there, we started dating 2 years later, and he asked about it, and I told him what had happened. But I didn't tell him the freakiest part was the next day, me and my friend Michaela went up there to grab our speakers and the beers that were left to see if there was any, because we also have a homeless problem up here. And there were 2 cow elk, a female cow elk is what they're called. And there were 2 bodies of 2 female elk on the ground. They looked like they were torn apart by something. So I'm thinking in my head, maybe it was a mountain lion or multiple mountain lions or something, because these were 2 full-grown females. And we called the Forest Service to say, hey, you got either a poacher or a big animal out there. And it's made its spot at Michael's Draw. But we got our shit and we left, and I have not been there since.
Mountain lions don't usually hunt in packs, right?
No, but a female will keep her cubs around till they're about 2 or 3.
2 big elks. That's a lot of work for a couple.
I know. That was the only thing that could pop into my mind was either that or there was a big ass grizzly that decided he was going to come closer to town.
How close do you think you were to these things' eyes or whatever?
I would have to say I was at least 15 yards. So when I first saw it, the shadow, it looked to be at least 6, maybe 5.5 feet tall. But I didn't see the eyes then. I just saw a black mass right there.
Yeah, you had mentioned in the email that you said maybe a humanoid owl bird. Did it have wings? Did you notice any kind of wings?
I noticed that like the shape was kind of off, but it could have like from when I looked at the black mass, it was kind of like the haunches where haunches would be on elk. So at the same time, it also like in the corner of my eye, it also like the head looked too smooth, like it was smooth, kind of like how a barn owl was.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever seen a barn owl, it doesn't have tufts,
right?
And you know, it was creepy. It was super creepy. But it did look like it had feathers, kind of. It's hard to explain because it's been so freaking long. But I will not forget those eyes, because those also reminded me of owls because they were rounder and bigger than most eyes I've ever seen on an animal.
So what time of night was it when this happened?
I want to say anywhere from 11 to about 1 a.m.
Okay. So pretty dark outside.
Yeah, but in that area, if there's a full moon, you can see pretty much anywhere.
Okay, but you probably couldn't see details of the creature's face. You just saw the green eyes and the shape of the body, or did you get any more of a look at it?
No.
You didn't have a flashlight with you?
No.
Okay.
No, I tried not to stray too far from the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Good idea.
But apparently I went too far.
Did you notice any kind of smell? Did it make any kind of sound?
No. If I had to think of a smell, maybe like, I don't know if I have how to describe it. If you've ever smelled like a wet dog, it's like the whole area just smelled like a wet dog. But I didn't think anything of it because a lot of people walk their animals there, and you get used to it.
I mean, it could have been a juvenile Sasquatch, I guess. Do they get green eye shine?
Could have been.
I don't know, Brian. Do you know if they get green eye shine?
We've had different reports. We've had the red. We've had the green.
It didn't. So I'm used to like animals shine. Like if you shine a light on like a goat or something, that's when I think green eye shine. It didn't look like it was a shine at all. It kind of looked like there was a light behind its eyes.
Yeah, we've heard about that too from other reports we've had.
You had told your friends, "Hey, mountain lion, let's get out of here." Did you really think it was possibly a mountain lion, or did you think it was something else? But that's what you just kind of used to get them out of there.
Honestly, it was what I used to get him out of there because no one's going to believe me if I yell Sasquatch. They would have probably looked at me like I was stupid.
Then they probably would have wanted to go look for it.
Yeah, and then it would have been the cow elk. It would have been us.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you feel the next day when you went back there to get the rest of your stuff?
Not gonna lie, I kind of wanted to throw up again. Not because of the smell, but kind of just of thinking that could have been us. Like just the overall dread that it could have been us.
Yeah.
Like I think maybe because in the winter that whole area is inaccessible. Like no one can get up there. No one. Except snowmobiles. But it's rare and it's a pretty secluded place. So anything could really make its home if it goes a little further up. And I think maybe it was because we had been partying there months before. And maybe it could have just decided, because I know not a lot of animals that are not known will stay in one area. And that's why there's multiple sightings all over the country. But maybe we just bumped into it while it was making its temporary home.
Could be. Well, especially being that close to Canada.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe I'm like, oh, I'm just hoping like someone just tells me it's like a big ass bear or maybe a giant angry moose that would kill us too, but not so bad. Moose are not friendly if you have yet to figure that out.
The moose and the bear probably would have given chase, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have made it back to the camp.
So you're pretty sure that this wasn't a bear or a mountain lion or anything that you'd seen before?
No, because in those situations, because I know a lot of my friends carry guns, because that's what you used to do when you live up this far. I would have probably said, hey, if something's going to come at us, you might as well be prepared. But no, just no animal I've ever seen has those eyes are just ugh. No animal I've ever seen has that big of eyes, and no animal I've ever dealt with has ever just stared at me when it's within range of jumping on me.
So how big do you think the eyes were? Softball size, baseball size, golf ball size?
I want to say baseball.
Wow. I don't know.
But it looked so smooth because I know in Wales and Northern Ireland, there's a creature called the owlman, which is basically a humanoid owl creature. But I've never heard of them to be over here. But the shape of it, and I looked at the renderings of it, the shape of it made me think of that. And I'm like, no, why would they be over here? For curiosity, why would it be over here? But no, you can see a lot of crazy shit out here. I'm pretty sure people in the Yak have seen much closer encounters than I have.
Oh, I'm sure. I'd love to get up there to get out there in the Yak and explore.
If you live in the Yak in the winter, you are by yourself. There is no coming down until after that snow melts. And we still got snow up on mountaintops right now.
Cyan, do you think it's possible that this was a Mothman type creature?
I don't know. Because honestly, if I think of Mothman, he always has a bunch, like in any encounters that I've read about, he's always had a bunch of moths around him, and he's had a source of light that he's been near, and he's never just stared at someone. He's always been far away. And usually something terrible happens right after him.
Right.
Because he's been labeled as an omen of disaster.
Before this happened, did you believe in anything like Bigfoot or anything cryptid like that?
No, but I'm not gonna lie, I always thought the people who thought of Sasquatch were crazy. I'm not being mean. I thought, like Sasquatch was just a Neanderthal that got extinct millions of years ago. Because of all the characteristics and everything seem to match up with the Neanderthal. Because I'm a big science person. I used to spend hours and hours in the history museums and science museums just looking at all the fossils and stuff. Like, Sasquatch could have existed. And maybe he does, because maybe I freaking saw it. And now, like, I think about it, and I'm like, the term... I've heard a lot of different definitions of the term cryptid, and it's just an unidentified or unknown creature.
Right.
And it makes sense because we haven't even explored over 5% of the ocean. So what makes us think we know everything that's in the forest?
Right, exactly. Especially up there in the mountains and the woods of the Pacific Northwest and Montana and
yeah. I wonder if
Canada.
It makes me wonder if if you've ever heard the term that cougars make cry sounds or they sound like humans yelling.
Yep.
I wonder if those are not humans or cougars. That makes me curious. That really does. But I was really hoping you guys could maybe explain to me what I saw.
I'm leaning toward Bigfoot. I think it was crouched down. I think you surprised it.
I think it surprised me.
And exactly. So, and I think you got lucky.
No, like, what happens? Because I'm back in Montana, and Michael's Draw is only 15 miles down the road from me. Like, what happens if I see something like that again? I've never had to, like, deal with anything like that. Usually I just run. That's my first instinct, is to run. I don't know what I would do.
That's probably not the best idea. They're still a wild animal. I mean,
yeah.
Here's what you
never
do.
Turn your back and run.
Here's what you do. This is exactly what you need to do. You pull out your cell phone or a camera, and you get as close as you possibly can. And you put your
choose death. Got it.
And you take videos of this thing, and then you send them to us immediately.
No,
and then you run.
Send you it after
then
my
you
obituary.
Run,
and then you call us, and then you come back on the show.
I don't feel like dying for the sake of science.
Don't listen to Todd. You just back up. Don't turn your back. Just back up slowly.
Yeah, no, I don't know what to do. I would just be in shock and stand there and probably pee myself or something. Yeah. Hey, what's up?
I would say act like you're facing down a silverback gorilla. Put your hands out.
No.
Your head down.
No.
And back away slowly.
And this is why.
Pound your chest.
No. And this is why the girls die in horror movies.
Right. Don't turn around and run away screaming.
How close are you to Glacier National Park? Are you pretty close to that?
2-hour drive. It's closed off right now for a little bit longer until the snow's going on.
I heard you guys got flooded.
Yeah, so Yellowstone's closed. Glacier will be closed for a little longer. They're usually not open until the snow is gone. So mid-July to August they'll be open.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of horse trails though that a lot of people take. Even our donkey trails here are closed, like our mule trails. The river is a lot higher than it was last summer. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we still have snow in the mountains is a little strange for us. Because usually it's fully gone by this time of year.
Have there been other sightings in that area that you've heard of in the past 10, 15 years?
Oh, yeah. I thought he was crazy. So one of the guys who lived, he was a moonshiner. He was an old man who lived up in the Yak. He would come into town, and he was super nice, and he would come to our store, get his provisions, like stuff you can't find up there. And he'd buy and come down every 3 months. So, except for in the winter. And we were just chit-chatting, and he was like, yeah, don't come up to the Yak. You might see a Bigfoot. I'm like, Bigfoot? You mean the thing that everyone in the mountain says they've seen? He's like, looks me dead in the eyes, says, oh, they're real. You just don't fuck with them.
Cool.
I never believed him. I just thought he was joking to scare me or to keep his moonshine away.
I'd stay away from the still.
Probably a boat.
Because that is the most secluded place in this whole city, in this whole area, is the Yak. Because that's 5 minute, maybe 10 minute, you walk over the Canadian border.
Yeah, I have no doubt that they're up there.
It's beautiful. I mean, if you guys never been to Montana, it's beautiful.
Nope, never have.
I've been through
Flown over it.
Yeah, I've been through it. On the train.
Eureka is really close to the border. They're really secluded as well. They're close too, but they're more out of the mountain range. Like, we're dead on top of the Rockies. Like,
so you're way up there.
So if you drive an hour to the west, you're in Idaho. If you drive an hour, maybe an hour up, if you have a off-roader and a snowmobile and a couple other things, you'll be in Canada. And then the rest is just going down the mountain to the valleys.
Yeah, you're in a prime spot then. There should be a lot of activity going on. Do you guys get out and look for Bigfoot out there?
No. Because we got big animals that want to eat us. Besides Bigfoot. Yeah. I mean, I don't think Bigfoot wants to eat us, does he?
No, I wouldn't think so.
I hope not.
I hope not.
I wouldn't think so.
Like, that would scare me. To know something that big wants to eat me and it's smart.
I don't think on that side of the country we haven't ever heard of any big aggressive Sasquatch or anything out there. The East Coast now, they're more aggressive from what we hear.
Do you guys have grizzly bears where you're at around there at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're further up in the mountains. They usually only come down during huckleberry season and during the summer to fatten up. That's what another reason it popped in my mind, like, oh, I'm about to die. But usually when you're within 10 yards of a grizzly, you're already at lunch. Like,
they're fast.
Yeah, like, I would have just laid on the ground and hopefully it wouldn't have mauled me too bad. If you just play dead, be limp. Like Leonardo DiCaprio in that movie, play limp. And hope to God it doesn't hear you breathe.
He still got messed up.
Yeah.
Kill it with a knife.
No.
Maybe if that happens, a Bigfoot would come along and save you. You never know.
No, it probably would have joined it.
You never. I mean, I wonder if I'm sure a Bigfoot and a grizzly bear have come into contact with each other. I'm very curious.
I'm sure they've tangled.
What has happened?
Who would win in that situation, though?
I don't know, man.
Say Bigfoot. Bigfoot all day long. I would say
the Bigfoot, yeah, because they have thumbs.
Because they have thumbs?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, they can grab.
I mean, we have thumbs and we lose.
Well, we're not as big and strong as a Bigfoot either.
Probably choke a bear out or something, get the behind the neck choke hold on him or something,
Mm-hmm.
Do some.
I remember an episode
Bigfoot
you guys
jiu-jitsu.
made. Oh, God.
What's
I
that?
remember an episode you guys had said something about what if Bigfoots learned to ride elk? I would be more terrified of them riding moose.
Oh
Did
man,
did we say that? I don't
they'd
remember.
take over.
That must have been Brian, not me. So I can.
They'd take over if they could do that. Come riding out of the mountains on some moose.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no one would stop them. The moose would do all the work for them.
Yep.
Oh no, those are mean suckers. They would just do all the work.
Moose, yeah.
You had mentioned something about Neanderthal. Is that what you think Bigfoot is? Do you think he's a Neanderthal, the missing link, or something like that?
Or
Well,
a relative.
I've always believed in Darwin's theory of evolution, to where something will adapt to survive. So what if how animals, kind of, some animals used to be a lot bigger, but now they shrunk because their food source became shorter and they couldn't find it as often, or there was more competition. What if the Neanderthal got bigger and covered in more fur, so he could be away from everyone?
Possible. Anything's possible.
That's a good theory. I heard that one.
I kind of like
like that.
I kind of like to think that Bigfoot is what a caveman is. They're cavemen. That's what the whole concept came from. People think cavemen, they think maybe more human looking. But if you look at some of the cartoons and whatnot on TV, how they have the little guys, they're stockier, they're more oafier, if that's a word, oafier. They carry clubs.
It is now.
I think, it is oafier. I'm going to copyright that word.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's just what they are. They're cavemen. They still live in caves, and I don't know.
Oh, there's plenty of those to do that here, but in Libby, you don't want to live in a cave or in mine because there's asbestosis.
Because of what?
Asbestos?
Asbestos. Oh, okay.
Sorry, I have really hard time pronouncing that word.
It can be.
In the mines? I can see
Yeah, so if you ever look it up, Libby is the reason asbestos is in really old buildings, because vermiculite is what we mine for the drywall insulation, and you guys got it from us. Okay. And so people who were in the 9/11, when that building came down, a lot of them ended up with it in their lungs, and a lot of them died within 20 years. Like, if you live in Libby for longer than 10 years, you get a settlement, because there's no way in heck you're not going to have it.
Really? No kidding.
Except in, like, the newer buildings.
Well, get out of
like
there.
The brand new ones.
Yeah, go to Yak.
Yeah, get out of there.
They might have it too, but I think they do log cabins. No, there's an alpine lake, though, up here that is completely cut off, even sometimes in the summer. Like, you are not getting up there unless you're an experienced hiker or mountain climber, or unless you can drive a tiny 4-wheel drive vehicle without worrying about going off those cliffs. Like, if you take an SUV, it's a bit tight.
Yeah, that would be a little.
And it's got fresh water, it's got fish, it's got lots of room.
Wow.
It's got a big ass lake.
It's probably got a bunch of Sasquatch. So that's your assignment this summer.
No.
Get up to that lake.
No, I'm telling you guys for that. I'm letting you guys do that. You do that, and then I'll listen. And if you make a show about it, I'll be like, they didn't die. Okay. That's good.
Hey, we're just trying to stay asbestos free right now. So,
Yeah, just don't tear down any old buildings, or don't stay into buildings any longer than 10 years.
Okay. So when's your time up there in Libby?
Yeah.
So you guys are very sure it's Sasquatch and not Mothman or an owl.
That's what I'm thinking, just by the way you described it.
How big is the biggest one anyone's ever seen as? Because you said it might have been crouched, but like, I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this. I don't know for sure if I believe it's very possible it was a Bigfoot, but what do you actually think you saw? What does your gut tell you that you think you saw? Was it a bird creature? Was it a Bigfoot? I mean,
the eyes didn't look like something that would be on a Bigfoot. Because, like, in all the renderings, it's been humanoid. It's been something that looks like a smushed face on a human. But I've never heard of them having big green eyes.
Who knows? Maybe it's a new cryptid that we haven't seen yet.
Maybe.
Well, I'm okay. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of these stories or anything. Have you ever heard of a wraith or a skinwalker?
Yeah.
Not a Wendigo, but a skinwalker. Not like, because we're in near native areas, so
right. Yeah, we've heard of them.
Like, because some of those depictions are it's a witch who committed the worst crime and then was banished from their tribe. And then there are other ones where it's this big, lanky creature that is constantly hungry and will basically eat anything that comes in its path. Mm-hmm. But it's never not hungry. And it grows as it eats. And it's basically a cursed person.
The Wendigo.
Yeah. And skinwalkers are the witches.
Right.
But, like, they've been known to be either these tall, lanky things that just get bigger and bigger, or there are these people that just wear dead animal skin or dead human skin, and it's like, I really hope I don't want to see one of those. Because those have been like a nightmare, because my dad is part native. He's from the Sioux. And he told me those like as a boogeyman story as a kid.
Okay.
And I'm like, great. Wow. More animals to worry about.
So he told you about boogeyman stories that happened to him when he was little, or just that he'd heard about?
That he heard when he was little from his family.
Okay. So when you told your boyfriend, what did he say? Was he there?
He looked at me at first and like he questioned me for a while and was like, "Are you sure this is what you saw?" And I was like, "I'm very sure." He's like, "So what do you want to like say it is?" I'm like, "I don't know. And I don't want to think about it afterwards." Basically, he just questioned what I saw, what he described it. To me, would have been Sasquatch. Because he's like, "Well, we have those." I'm like, "No, you don't. There's no way." And basically, he's like, "Did it look like this?" I'm like, "I saw this." And he's like, "Sasquatch." I'm like, "No. I'm very sure. No."
So if you don't think it was Sasquatch, then maybe it wasn't Sasquatch. It's hard to say. If there's Indian land around there, I mean, yeah, you could be talking Skinwalker. I'd like to think it was a Mothman, because we just haven't had a Mothman encounter on the show yet.
Yeah, right. That'd be
interesting.
Or a rake.
Well, okay, if I saw that, then where's the bad omen? What happened? What happened during that year?
Well, I
don't know. Something bad happened up there?
I can't remember anything bad happened. All I remember is every year there's always fires during the summer.
Okay, hold on just a second. I'm getting freaked out thinking about this. What year did you see this? 2019?
Yeah.
Do you remember hearing about the Amtrak that derailed? Wasn't that near you guys?
Amtrak?
There was an Amtrak train last year or the year before that derailed somewhere in northern Montana. Train. And I think it was before or right after Libby or around Libby. You guys never heard about it? No one died, I believe. But
no, because there's no you have to go to the valley to get on passenger trains.
On September 25th, 2021, Amtrak passenger train on westbound Empire carrying 141 passengers.
Because the train tracks that go through our town.
Joplin, Montana. Are you close to Joplin, Montana?
I want to say they're about 4 hours from us.
3 people were killed and 50 were injured.
Joplin.
So maybe that, I don't know. You never know. I mean, it wasn't like a bridge collapsing, but it's a pretty serious event, in my opinion. I take trains, and my wife and I ride the Amtrak train. And
I mean, we have a passenger train here, but it only stops for a second, and usually it's just dropping off cargo.
I mean, they've been talking about seeing them around Chicago, around O'Hare Airport, which really freaks me out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's been a few years ago. Fingers crossed. It's still nothing's going on. So you don't know.
I do know there's a place called Deer Lodge, not too far from here. It's about an hour drive or so, but it's more south. That would be the most perfect place for this to live, because there is population 500 people, middle of nowhere, lots of trees, and the only thing that's around there is the prison.
So when are you going to investigate?
No, thank you. I'll leave that to you guys.
We'd like to get there. We'd like to get everywhere we can.
I'd love to get out there for that. Heck yeah.
I'd love to go to every spot of every incident that we've interviewed to see where this happened. Do you ever go back to that place anymore where you saw this thing?
I haven't. I have not been there since. Like, my friends would always want. They have friends go back. My friends have gone back to go party and stuff, but I refuse. I absolutely refuse.
Not even in the daytime.
Like, maybe daytime, because that leads to the best hunting track, where you can get all the fresh male elks that are about to start rutting. And yeah, other than that, no. Like, I've gone up there one winter in a snowmobile with 5 other people, and we had guns, so I had no reason to fear. But I wonder in my head, if I ever saw that thing again, what it would do to 5 people with guns. Because, would it have seen this as a threat? Would it have seen us as food? Or would it have run away and we just seen it?
I think it would be smart enough not to mess with people with guns, but you never know. Who knows?
I mean, if it saw us as a threat, and if we were taking something that it wanted, maybe I could see it wanting to, because during the winter, food is scarce for any animal.
Right.
So if it was hungry enough, the best places to probably see anything, because there have been black bears that have just come down straight from the mountains to the trails. And, because there's so little human interaction throughout the winter and spring, they're it's safe. So maybe other things think it's safe too.
Yeah. Well, spread the word. Let people know if they've had encounters, they can get a hold of us. We return emails.
Well, Cyan, we appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you. I hope you guys don't think I'm crazy too.
No, absolutely not.
Because this has been, I've been terrified to be on here after I emailed, because I was they're probably just going to think I'm crazy or something. I don't know. I would.
We love to hear these stories for sure. We love to hear these stories.
That's why we're doing this.
We want to get this out to the public, and maybe someone will respond and say they saw the same thing.
Yeah. Somebody will hear your story.
Hey, it's been real fun talking with you tonight.
Thank you. All right.
Thanks again, Cyan.
All right. You're saying Bigfoot. I'm saying Mothman. Is that what we're determining here?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think just the way she described it to me is, I don't know, more Bigfooty.
Yeah.
Unless she didn't have a flashlight or anything.
Right. Yeah, who knows? Big green eyes. She said it was bulky shaped. It could have been anything, as far as we know.
Yeah.
I can't really say.
You never know what's going on up in them mountains out there. If there's anybody out there that's had an encounter there like that in that area, let us know.
Definitely get a hold of us, guys, if you've seen stuff out there.
Absolutely. And I'll also keep a lookout for the Cryptic Creatures website that is coming soon.
Yes, I can't wait. I'm so excited about the website. You guys will be able to go on there and check out our episodes and blogs and memberships and all that stuff.
It's going to be a one-stop Cryptic Creature shop.
I got to get out of here, my friend. I'm sure you do too. Thanks again for hanging out with me.
Always fun, man.
Until next time.
See ya.